what I asked, and I don't know, I haven't got a response yet, but what my suggestion was to give every city councilor all the applications and all the resumes, whatever every candidate is sent in, have every councilor on his or her own go through it, and then have a meeting with all the city councilors. We call it an informal meeting. It's called the city council as a committee of the whole. It's an informal meeting, so you're not limited to just speaking twice. You're not limited to 5 minutes of speaking. You could just sit there and hash it all out for as long as you want. And you can narrow it down to how many candidates you want or whatnot. That was my suggestion, because I like doing that stuff, and I'll sit there for 5, 6, 7 hours. I don't care. I like doing that stuff. A lot of people don't want to. They want to cut to the chase and just have like a committee give them 3 or 4 people and go from there. But I'm more hands-on. I want to see everybody. Like when we were picking the treasurer, there was somebody that wasn't on anybody's list, and I was council president at the time, and I was impressed by this woman's credentials, and I ended up getting her in for an interview, and she became one of the finalists. So it's like she would have been missed if I hadn't looked into it. So yeah, so I think it's important for everybody, for all the councilors, to know the complete pool of who's applied for the job. So anyways, at some point, the president's going to come up with a procedure, and I don't know how it's going to go, but the ultimate act of selecting the city clerk is going to be the city council's vote. So we'll see what happens. But it's critical. It's kind of flying under everybody's radar. I think I haven't heard anybody. I haven't got any emails on it. That's why I sent my email out. I'm like, what are we doing? I know that the application window just closed on the day before Thanksgiving. But Alan's leaving at the end of the month. So we have.
Wait, at the end of December 31st.
Yeah, it was last days like January 4th. So yeah,
okay.
Christmas, basically after Christmas, that's it. So we don't have much time. What's today, the 4th? So, what do we have, 3 weeks maybe to do it?
I have a couple of thoughts. One is, I feel like this is a very mission critical for our municipality, especially at a time where, even if it wasn't challenged by COVID, which of course it is, like all cities and towns throughout the country are, this, because particularly here in Gardner, where we have a tradition of somebody having a long-standing career in this position, it's very vital that we get the right person in the position. Also, we need to have these kinds of checks and balances that are increasingly, in various ways, being very quietly decreased.
Yes.
So, now part of that isn't just City Hall's to blame. Part of that is that as citizens, and this again isn't something that's so unusual to Gardner, although I think it's worse here than other communities I've personally had experience living and working in. People have really acquiesced a lot of their power as voting citizens in a variety of different ways. People tend not to attend meetings when they are held. People, even now, meeting attendance has pound for pound for many committees in town has decreased since COVID, where all the meetings are remote. So we've taken out the necessary of going to City Hall, and yet even less people are attending. There are ways that we have acquiesced and are not holding our elected officials' feet to the fire. Which sometimes
can I stop you for 1 second?
It's just simply being more engaged,
Are you talking generally? You're not talking about the city, right, of Gardner?
I'm talking generally in the city of Gardner. This is something I feel like more citizens need to not only get aware of, but they need to start talking to their city councilors and saying, we want you to prioritize not just who you pick, but the method by which you pick the city clerk.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. But I just wanted to say that the city council is almost a full complement for every meeting. I think there's only 1 or 2 meetings that hasn't been all 11 people, all 11 members, all 11.
Well, no, see, I'm not talking about the councilors themselves. I'm talking about the average.
The people.
The average citizen is not showing up.
Yeah, you know what? That's weird, because it seems like it's so much easier now. Because meetings that weren't so easily, you'd have to literally go to City Hall. Now you can just watch it on a Zoom, and it seems odd that more people wouldn't be taking part in it. Are you seeing that less people? Well, I don't know.
I have, so I've primarily since COVID hit, the meetings that I've attended when I have been either school related or environmentally related, Conservation Commission, that kind of thing. And these were never almost always heavily attended meetings,
Right.
but now there's even less people attending. So, and for some of the decisions that are made, you'd think on certain meetings, you'd think, wow, there should be more people here. There should be not just, 5, there should be 50 people attending this. Granted, we're in the middle of a global health crisis, and people are worried about a number of different things. People's job situations have drastically changed for so many of us. And so I get that your top priority isn't this, but what, often what can happen too and I feel like this has been happening in our city government. There's been a consolidation of power. We're seeing the same 2 or 3 people who are both municipal and state representatives constantly in all the press, in all of the PR opportunities that are created as a result of various programs, that are being initiated. I'm not suggesting that if somebody's a part of something, they can't be a part of getting the credit for it. I'm simply suggesting that I find it hard to believe that 2 or 3 city council people and the mayor himself and the state rep for our district are the only people that are actually getting anything done.
Are you saying that somebody's saying that's the case?
Well, for one, as a citizen and as an engaged citizen, when we talk about local journalism, when we talk about local social media, they are the only people we're seeing out in front.
Who would that be? Because I'm not on social media.
Sure. Well, Lizzie Kaczynskis, City Council President, Mayor Mike Nicholson, and State Representative John Zlotnick.
Okay.
Again, I'm not going to, if they, whatever credit they deserve for enacting a program, for ensuring a program exists and that it continues, I'm not detracting from that. I'm simply saying that I find it hard to believe they're getting most of the PR.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't know about anybody else, but
and I'm wondering why we're not hearing from a more broader range of the city council.
I'll tell you this. This is all I know. All I know is city council because that's my job. And the President Kaczynskis doesn't even respond to my my emails, very important ones. Hardly ever responds to my emails. So I know exactly what she's doing and not doing as a council president. And let's put it this way: it's not impressive. To be kind, what she's doing on city council is not impressive by a long shot. So I don't know what she's getting for credit out there. Maybe she's doing stuff for the mayor. Maybe she works for the executive. I have no idea. But as far as her
picture taken a lot.
Well, I'm sure she likes that. But that's why I sent her a letter saying, "What are we doing about okay, let's focus on our business, okay? I'm here to take care of the people's money and to take care of the people. That's why I'm elected. So let's focus on this city clerk position, right? I don't know what's going on. And again, I didn't get a response to it. So the council president, maybe she is. And I put it in the letter, I said, I'm sure you're working on this. I don't know, because we don't get any feedback. I'm sure some city councilors are getting the feedback. And here's the problem. If she's so close with the mayor, that's not a good thing to be. Now, I know we have to get along and we're on one team and all that stuff, which is true. And it's difficult for the city government to get things done if the executive doesn't get along with the city council. We've had those days. So it's a fine line here.
We don't want to have disparate relationships.
Yeah, but you have to have relationships where you stay in your lane, to coin a phrase. So we're city council, we're the legislative branch. Mayor Nicholson, who's a fine human being, though he's the executive branch. We have to maintain that line, and the city clerk always helped us do that, and he's the only person at City Hall that can help us do that, where you have to keep this line between the executive department and the city council. You just have to. And when you see all these votes, 11-0, 10-1, 8-3, 9-2, it's just worrisome sometimes, not on every issue, because 99% of the votes are 11-0 anyways, because they just, no brainers. But from time to time, there's some things where you'd expect to see a little bit more than one vote on one side, on the dissent, or 2 votes on the dissent. And you're not seeing that. And it's only been a couple months, but I'm just saying, that's one of the ways that's an indicator to say, well, that line between the two branches of government are becoming fuzzy and gray, because I remember the day when, I think it was when St. Hilaire was here, we used to get hammered all the time for being a rubber stamp city council. You're just rubber stamping everything the mayor wants. Rubber stamp, rubber stamp, rubber stamp. And that's not a good thing to be, because the public confidence just goes away, saying, well, we don't have a city council. All we have is a mayor now. You can't have that.
Yeah.
You have to have the checks and balances. We're here to say, no, mayor, you can't spend that money, or no, mayor, that's not a great idea. The 11 of us don't think that that's a great idea. Maybe it's a great idea for a mayor, but it's not a great idea for a legislature. So, I mean, there's a push and shove always, but it worries me what you just said, because I don't know. I'm not on social media. If you see the triumvirate, I guess it's Zlotnick and Kaczynskis and Nicholson, which is great. They're the cheerleaders for the city and the face of the city, and that's all great. Whatever they're doing, I don't know what they're doing. But let's focus on city council business if you're the council president. And if she's getting credit for stuff, it's not anything the city council's doing. So she can go take the credit, because there's nobody else on the city council doing it. Because if we were, I'd know about it.
My opinion on the consensus issue is that it could, on its face, it's not necessarily disturbing. It's when but if we're applying, a certain amount of intellectual rigor to the problem, it's a red flag to the average voter to hopefully take a closer look at what's been voted upon and how effective have those decisions, those pieces of municipal legislature made on the city, right? Is the economic development inherent in that legislation robust enough? Are there ordinances that are inhibiting
I'll give you a great example,
residential
Scott,
or commercial capabilities, whatever they are,
There should be more interest. I love getting input. When I get an email from a resident or a citizen, I love it, because it's like, okay, it's feedback. We're not on the street, especially now, we're not in the street hearing people. But I'll give you a great example. So we have to set the tax rate. I think I didn't look at the agenda because it just came in today. Monday, I think we're setting the tax rate. So it's always been a single tax rate in Gardner. Commercial properties pay the same rate as residential homeowner properties. And Councilor Boone has been in the past trigger happy with all the credit to him. He's like, I don't know, maybe it's time to give the commercial properties a higher rate. I don't know. So and he's inching toward supporting that, and it's never happened in Gardner. But I don't know. Is that something I'd like to hear from the people? What do they think? Do they think maybe businesses should be paying more? So what you always hear, right? You can predict what you would hear. Well, that's just going to make businesses leave, and businesses won't come here. And my question is that what will happen? I don't know. Maybe.
Right.
But
it's not a question of having an answer. It's a question of asking the right questions.
Right. And doing the research on it.
That actually, what you just encapsulated better says what I was trying to say a moment ago. Have we resolved all of the questions that people have? Do we know that the piece of decision-making that is before us is ready for a vote? It's not even like, what's the vote going to be up and down? It's like, is what's in front of us the absolute best it can be for us to make a decision on?